2 p.m. Today's date, June 25th. Items for discussion. We have quite a few, which is interesting.
We do.
Yeah.
Number one is travel expense payments.
Yeah, so the first one has to do with the use of personal credit cards to pay for business-related travel expenses. Should it be or shouldn't it be allowed? You may recall, shortly after I started here, that there was a question about can we get a work district card that gets miles or points or
yeah.
something that the district would benefit from all the travel costs.
Right.
And what we heard from the credit card companies and our attorneys is a card to get mileage or points had to be in an individual's name.
Mm-hmm.
So it was determined that corporate cards are not eligible for those. So over time, we have this history of some directors go through Diane and Ann, some do it on their own.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So just wanted to pose to the committee and maybe en route to the full board, do we want to have a policy that restricts the use of personal credit cards, or do we want to allow it? Let me, before you ask the question, I did check with the attorney's office, and there's no legal prohibition against directors using their personal card and retaining the benefits,
The points themselves.
the points themselves.
Oh my.
So
Yeah.
my question would be, is it then possible for us to leave a credit card number on file here at the district? So when the reservations are made by your staff,
They're made in your.
they're made and we're using our credit card?
Yeah, so, yes, I believe that's the case, and I would actually prefer that, because one of the things I wanna
I would
make sure
prefer
that
that.
we're doing is that we're looking for the most reasonable cost travel.
Right.
And if we leave it up to 5 individuals or 6, if I'm making my own, it's
I'm
all
going
over
first
the place.
class.
Yeah, so,
And I'm in the motel too.
yeah, that's right.
Right.
Yeah.
So it'd be up to mostly Diane and Ann to make sure
Uh-huh.
that they're getting the most cost-effective
Oh, yeah.
travel arrangements, and the fact that they're billing to a different number,
Right.
I don't really care.
Yeah.
So,
Just makes it harder on Diane and Ann.
it does. If they
Yeah,
have
no,
5
no,
different,
that way if
5
we
different credit card
put it on
numbers.
file, that would be magnificent. And if we could use the points ourselves,
Right.
oh, I think that's a great idea. I mean, I do. I don't know
Yeah.
what the rest of the
No,
board
no,
thinks.
no, I think the whole board will think that.
Yeah, okay.
I think it's a great idea. I think though we should have, for future boards, not for this board, but put in the policy that should a credit card be declined, that person is no longer eligible. Because that's gonna create such a mess
Yeah, it could.
for Diane and Ann to have to deal with.
Yeah.
So, I know in my case, I'm gonna give them a card that's just for them to use.
Yeah, exactly. I'm
Use it
gonna
for
get
that.
a new card.
Yeah, she gets a
Yeah,
card here.
because
Yeah.
mine doesn't presently have points available to it, but I can get a card that does.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I guess one thing I'll throw out there that may cause some concern, if there's an unauthorized charge on a credit card, I don't wanna put Ann and Diane in the middle of a dispute where somebody says, hey, I didn't charge that, maybe Diane went out shopping and used my credit card, where it could have been just one of those, somebody in
glitch.
Yeah, right.
Africa charging
Yeah,
your card.
right.
So there's
Yeah,
a little
but-
bit of a risk here,
Mhm.
as long as everybody understands that.
Yeah. Well, I think you can put that in the policy itself for us to take to the board.
Yeah, I would include that in the policy.
Yeah.
Yeah, and
No
I don't know
way.
that it needs to go to the board, so let me,
Oh.
I'll
Oh,
look
okay.
through if it needs to go to a full policy. I use this group kind of, I'll say informally, it's not necessarily a formal policy, it's policy related items.
Right.
That may elevate to a formal policy, may elevate to an ordinance or a board approval, and it may not.
Okay.
If I think we could do it without it, I may just send an email to all the board
Oh,
members and
all
say,
right.
this is the new policy,
If-
even though there's not a policy statement.
Sure.
Or we may elevate it into a policy
If
statement.
whatever's the right thing to do.
But the committee's okay with allowing that,
Yeah.
and as long as it's more, I'll
Sure.
call it centralized,
Oh, I like that.
where district staff is coordinating it, but they may be charging it too.
And I think district staff needs to coordinate it, because they'll know the best pricing that everybody's getting and where to get it.
Yeah.
Right.
And we won't know that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, and we'll muck it up.
You know, I'm not sure, I don't deal with the travel directly, and maybe Ann can pipe in here, it's probably better for Diane to answer, but for those events that multiple board members are going to the same aqua.
Yeah.
For example, it's easier to just say, I want 5 registrations, put it on this card, instead of registering 5 individual things.
Right.
Not necessarily.
Okay.
Every entity has their own way of registering, and a lot of times we have to register each person individually.
Okay.
Fill out their name,
So it's no more difficult
Oh,
I mean,
Yeah.
they're always changing constantly too, how,
Okay.
they,
Yeah.
you know, every time you log in, they changed it again, so.
Yeah.
But for the most part, like Aqua, you have to do people individually.
Yeah.
Something like the city, sometimes they'll have something where you can just order 5 tickets,
Right,
you know, but,
All right.
yeah.
yeah, so.
And the question I have, how secure, and only because it runs along these lines, how secure is our system from being hijacked, which is going on a lot? Is there a way that Mitch can secure us from that?
Matthias?
Matthias, okay.
Cause I don't know who this Mitch guy is.
Yeah, he's
Yeah.
afraid of Matthias.
Yeah.
He's afraid of Matthias.
So Matthias is really sharp on cybersecurity. Having said that, nothing's 100% safe. We all
Right.
know that. We do everything we can to stay at the very cutting edge
Good.
of cybersecurity.
My understanding on that is just you have backup. You will back up everything all the time. And if they lock you out, then you have your backup someplace else.
Yeah, yeah. If you're doing like ransomware stuff,
Yeah.
if somebody gets in there and locks your stuff out and says,
Right.
"Give me $1,000 or I'll pitch your files," then
Right.
we do that. We do routine backups every night, so we have the most you lose is like a day's worth of work.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So
Because that's going on so rapidly
so
out
rapid.
there.
It's
Yeah.
Everybody's getting that. Okay.
If only those
Okay.
people could use their powers for good instead of evil.
There you
Yeah.
go.
Got some smart people working on the wrong side. It's unfortunate.
Okay.
So
Single-use plastic water, but I forget who brought this up.
I don't know, some crazy board
Some,
member that we've had
maybe I'll let
trouble
Director
with.
Hernandez lead
Well,
this
I've
discussion.
looked into this, a couple of things. One, it is just like litter and smoking. There is a wave of people, groups, saying that, this plastic is just out of hand. Now, I know there are a lot of plastic, I guess, and perhaps Hal's told me this, these bottles are recyclable. Not recyclable. Is it, maybe that
Yeah,
is
they're
recyclable,
recyclable,
yeah,
yeah.
yeah,
You
not
can-
not reusable, recyclable.
Right.
And I've talked with, Scott, is it, over at Edco?
Oh, I don't know.
The
Well,
guy,
there's a Scott over there.
no, the CEO, since,
yeah,
I talked to him about
Yeah.
what they're doing with their digesters. If you're interested, I'll tell you about
Right.
that. But I talked to him about that. He said, yeah, but there's just a lot of plastic that they can't recycle. They got to capture, but they can't recycle it. So, we have made Velocitas a position to be involved in the community, be a face in the community, and I think this would be an opportunity for us to make a statement in the community that we are part of the group that believes that we should eliminate plastic from our district and our use, our district offices, our events, and our use. I looked into the bottled water, box water is better. You can buy it in cases, and many cases, and it's expensive. It's $1
Yeah.
versus 30 or 50
It's
cents.
about, I did some research, it's about 3 times as much as
Yeah.
equivalent bottled water.
Right. So, I mean, that's an opportunity. Certainly, I have gone to myself going to a container. I know others have. At the dais, I have not been using the plastic cup any longer, and we have the glass carafes. I mean, I don't know if it's easier just to get paper cups or glasses, but I think this is an opportunity for us as a district to make a statement to the community that we are being environmentally friendly, yada, 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 yada. That's my pitch.
The only question, and I agree with you on some of it. The only problem is, we use a lot of plastic here. For instance, we have the employee luncheon, you have plastic ware, you have plastic plates, you have, and we have guys that are going out in their trucks, they carry water with them. That's convenient to carry plastic. So you have a lot of uses. This can be quite an expensive forte, because now you have to get rid of all the plastics that are being used. And what if someone brings a plastic bottle with them? I don't know. It's just, so I understand the plastic bottles with water. I get that. But I think it needs to go to the full board to have.
I do too.
Yeah.
I think it does need to go to the full board, but there is the alternatives, particularly, the flatware that we have. We have paper cups and plates and stuff. I don't, obviously, there would be, burdensome to have real flat silverware, forks and that sort of thing. Again, it's a statement. There's ways that we can mitigate the use of the plastic by virtue of paper cups and that sort of thing. So I bring it up, I'd like to take it to the board and see what they got to think.
So one of my questions is, I labeled this or titled this fairly narrowly. It's about single-use bottles, those is what I was
Yeah.
thinking of. Is it a broader statement that you wanna make and have the board consider plastic cups, plastic ware, or are we just talking about plastic water bottles now?
I was going full tilt plastic,
Okay,
all plastic being eliminated from our district.
yes, we have to be careful, we use plastic pipe all the time, but that's a
I was gonna
beneficial.
say, what are you gonna do about
I know, now we're gonna do
PVC.
paper.
Yeah, yeah,
So it's not-
compostable pipes.
So it's not all plastic, it's
Right.
some plastic.
Oh, it's
I call it single-use plastics.
single-use plastic, there
Yeah,
you go,
that's a single use, you use it and you throw it away, you
Right.
use that, you throw it away, a plastic fork, you use it and throw away.
Right,
As
single-use
opposed to a
plastic, great
pipe or-
phrase, yes,
Yeah.
single-use plastic.
Okay,
Multiple-use plastic, obviously, you
Yeah.
know, that would be something we would reuse, I don't even know what it would be, but it's gotta be out there.
But as far as the carafes are concerned, a couple of things. Number one, to wash them, we're wasting water.
yeah.
Well,
So we shouldn't have carafes.
then just give us a cup of water, or just have you know, cause one of the things I was thinking about at some of our events, you know, maybe it's too expensive, or we might think I don't know how much water do we sell the water or give it away?
We give it away.
We
Well,
get-
for what you.
For like those street fairs and that sort of thing.
Yeah, we just give it away.
We give it away.
Yeah.
Well, that's
Not
interesting.
anymore.
Well, no, but I mean, that's the thing, so either we have to charge for it, that's what I did when I went to the street fairs when I was running for office. I charged for the water, I made it very economical, but I charged for it. So we could either charge for the water, or we could get the big water containers and then just fill up cups of water and give them away.
Yeah.
So, I think there are ways to solve a number of the concerns, but it would mean that we'd have to be dedicated to do that.
Okay, so I'll put that on our list of future board items, and we'll try to do some kind of a cost analysis. So for example, like the plastic bottles, we could say roughly the cartons of water are about 3 times as much.
Yep.
And last year we spent X number of dollars on plastic bottles.
There you go.
Right.
So
Perfect,
It's
perfect.
gonna be very
So we know
broad.
what the cost is gonna be.
Yeah, exactly.
At least the board will know, are we talking thousands, tens of
Yeah.
thousands, hundreds of thousands, what
Or
order of magnitude?
Tens of dollars.
Right.
Okay, great.
Maybe as your staff looks at it, as they're doing it, and they can think of things that would be more costly with single use, I mean,
Yeah,
rather than just the three of us.
yeah.
Not that we're not worldly, but, you know,
Yeah.
a lot of things they
Yeah.
see that we don't.
Yeah, so it's one of those things, I don't wanna do too much work because the board may not want us to do it, but we'll do enough to give the board an idea, and if the board says, yeah, that's a good thing, then we'll go develop a program,
Perfect.
bring the program back to the full board.
Perfect.
And the full board can say, we'll take, you know, it's like an à la carte menu, which of these do you wanna do, and then we'll implement it.
Perfect. Okay,
Okay,
Okay, take care of that. Number 3.
easy.
overnight hotel stays in San Diego County. So it's got an interesting history. I asked Diane to look up our ordinances to see if it specifically precludes it, and she couldn't find it in our ordinances or our policy that says you can't do it. I was under the impression that you couldn't. I think what happened though is in the past, the district, before any of the board members was here, received criticism for staying overnight in San Diego County if they live in San Diego County and the event was in San Diego County. So it sounds like the district discontinued the practice without adopting a policy or an ordinance or anything that specifically addresses it.
Mm-hmm.
So the issue was raised is, would that be compensable? And I think there would certainly be certain conditions. If it was a 1-day event you went down to, probably not. But if you're going down to a 4-day aqua event, I think that was the kind of reasoning. And then if it was a 4-day event, is it just the 3 intervening nights, or do you stay the night before or the last night of? There's details that need to be worked out.
Mm-hmm.
So that's kind of want to get the feedback from the committee, and eventually this will probably have to go to the board too. So whether it's a geographical prohibition such as county limits, or if it's a mileage thing, that anything beyond X miles. So, I mean, you can go to South Orange County quicker than you can go to downtown San Diego, probably.
Yeah,
So
huh?
if there's a conference in San Clemente, is it okay to stay in San Clemente, but you couldn't stay downtown? So maybe it's better to put it in terms of anything beyond X miles.
Right, because I guess our CAWA meetings are now gonna be in, like, Claremont Mesa Boulevard, as opposed to where the hotel was.
Yeah, and we certainly don't wanna get into the point where people are staying overnight the night before cow. You know, but it's that
But
slippery
that's,
slope that I need to be
exactly, that's the point.
cognizant
But we haven't done that for CSDA either.
Right, you have the evening meetings. and-
Right,
And you don't want this to open that up to
No.
where people say, hey, the policy doesn't preclude it.
no, and I agree, and I think the mileage limit makes better sense, you know, whether it's 20 miles, if it's to get you beyond Claremont Mesa.
Yeah,
Because it really is the two conferences in San Diego that we've had at Mission Bay, I think
Yeah.
one, and the other one is downtown at the hotel.
yeah.
Those are the ones that have been troublesome
Well,
getting
there's
back
usually,
and forth.
there's a water reuse conference, there's the Urban Water Institute,
Mhm.
and sometimes there's maybe Aqua
Yeah.
in there. So there
Yeah.
could
Aqua
be,
really year.
could be 3 a year
Yeah.
that
Mhm.
would be eligible. If the board were to consider this, we'd probably try to put together some estimate of costs to say, hey, for a 4-day Aqua conference, if all 5 board members wanted to stay, that's 20, maybe 15 to 20 hotel nights somewhere in there, and that's a couple $100. So
Oh, yeah.
numbers get big pretty quick.
Yeah,
San Diego in particular, because the hotels are expensive and the parking is expensive.
Yeah.
yeah,
So you're
Yeah,
looking
you gotta add the
anywhere from
parking to it.
250
Yeah.
to 300 a night.
Yeah.
And then the offsetting is you wouldn't be getting mileage reimbursement though, so there'd be
Right.
some savings that you're not driving every day.
back and forth, yeah, so that offset.
Well, my thought on it, we don't have to stay in the hotel that's hosting it. Those are very expensive.
Right,
You know, there are other hotels, Hotel Circle,
Easy 8 that's down the street.
Easy 8
Is that what the
hotels.
name of it is?
There's a lot of them that are gonna be a lot less expensive.
Yeah.
If
Yeah.
you stay in the hotel, they give Aqua the conference room free, or the rooms free because they fill up all the rooms.
Right.
So you're paying for that. So, yeah, I don't.
Or the other alternative is a flat rate. You got $100 a night for a room. Find a room that you can fit. If you want to stay at the hotel, you pay the differential.
Yeah.
I don't know if that's too much burden or
Well,
too
But
much
then
accounting.
Submit the bill,
Yeah,
Yeah.
so there's proof that we actually.
Yeah,
spent
right.
the
Yeah,
hotel.
it's a lot easier if we equated that stipend, for lack of a better term, to something that you would otherwise get, like the mileage reimbursement.
mm-hmm,
Going down to San Diego is probably about 80 miles round trip,
yep,
and it's almost
50.
60 cents a mile.
yeah,
So you start doing the math, that's close to $50
yeah.
that you would
Times-
get. And if we can avoid that, I don't care if I
Mhm.
give it to you for mileage or towards a hotel, anything beyond that gets a little bit more tough to legally justify.
Mm-hmm,
So it's not a gift of public funds, that,
Right.
you know,
yeah,
that's not the way we're set up, so we may need some legal advice on this.
mm-hmm,
There's a policy piece to it, but there's also the legal aspect of things that we need to be
Okay.
cognizant of. So I may have to do some more research if the committee wants this to be submitted to the board for.
I would like it to go to the board with
Yeah,
backup.
I think we need to look at it.
Yeah.
And there again, in my mind, I don't know that, there's only a few times that you're down there that, for instance, our attorneys had a dinner that one night, and the next morning we had to be there at 7:30.
Right.
So it makes it difficult. So maybe just one night for the long 4-day ones.
Yeah.
You know, you pick a night that you wanna stay, and
Right.
that's the night you stay, so you don't have to hit the traffic every day.
It would allow you to network the night of, and
Mm-hmm,
Cause it is hard to explain to our constituents who are driving up and down that every day,
yeah.
that, well, we have to do it for 4 days, so we're gonna stay down there.
Well, that's what I was gonna close with. I just wanna make sure the board understands the criticism this will subject us to.
Okay, yeah.
You're gonna get the people say, I work down there. Why did, now I gotta pay for them to stay down there.
Well, that's why I was thinking maybe just one time for each conference, so it allows you to go to those events, and the 9 hours you have in between sleep, instead of having to drive it.
Yeah.
I don't know. But now I understand also that we can, get our mileage, fast track.
yeah,
Yeah, that's a legitimate travel expense.
Oh, yeah.
So we're working through that. We do require receipts.
Mhm.
Sure.
Craig went online and said it may take a couple
Craig said you
days.
can get it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, and I do it on somewhat of a, couple of months at a time, because it really is a pain in the neck. You gotta get the receipt, you gotta
Yeah.
go through the things, when you were doing it, when it was coming back, highlight those,
Yeah,
send
and
them
then
in.
and Diane has to go through and verify that that date matched with the conference
Exactly,
date.
yeah,
you know.
and that's so I don't do it every time, because
Yeah.
it's really a pain in the neck.
Oh, so you do it backwards.
Yes,
So let's say you went down tomorrow, might be a month before you turn it in.
or more.
Or more.
Yeah, exactly. Because I mean, we go down to the dinner, we go to the Kawa thing. That's maybe, well, the dinner's a quarter, so every quarter we got 3 Kawas and a dinner, so that's 4 times. Well, then I usually
Right.
wait till the quarter and do it
Yeah.
quarterly, and I haven't done it even this last quarter because I just haven't got around to
Okay.
it.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that makes up for, that makes us not having to wait as long to drive down there.
Right,
Yeah.
and it's
But I still think we.
not
pick-
more than $5 each way extra.
Yeah, I think we picked maybe one night, just an alternative of all 4 nights.
Or, you know,
Okay.
or depending, because if it's a 4-day conference, one night might be a little lean. But if it's obviously 2 or 3-day conference, that one night makes sense.
Right.
We should look into that.
Yeah,
Well,
we should.
when we schedule it for board consideration, I can come up with some option or some
Perfect.
yeah, options for them to consider. No to everything, yes to every night, one night per
Mhm.
per multi-conference stay.
Right.
You know, there's some things to look at. So
Yeah, because then Hal and I will bunk up.
Yeah,
I'll go one night.
yeah, that's it.
There you
Should
go.
be-
We'll make it 2
There you go,
nights.
there you go.
We'll get an Airbnb with a 5-bedroom
There you
Airbnb
go,
and
and
all
we-
board members can stay.
Boom,
in
zap
there.
it up.
Just don't put it in Southeast San Diego.
Okay,
Scary.
can be.
Okay.
All right. So the last one is kind of vague. So it's the committee's role regarding finance-related policy items. So I find oftentimes that there's items that are talking about policy, but they're really finance. So I'm not always sure which committee. So I haven't discussed this with the finance committee yet, but I decided to start at the policy committee. But I have a couple examples. One is like a reserve policy. How big should our reserves be? There's certainly a financial component to that, but it's a policy.
Mm-hmm.
So which committee? Cost of service study, we're about ready to start a cost of service study, and there's different directions we can go. Certain finance elements to it, but it's a policy issue, so, I know Hal's common to both. I don't wanna take it to both committees, I don't wanna get to the point
Right,
where
no.
it's just too much time,
That's crazy, yeah.
but,
Well, to eliminate that, would it be better if we had a joint committee, or is that too many people?
Can't have more than 2 of us at
Oh.
any meeting.
yeah,
Okay.
so yeah, once you
Okay.
get 3, it's a
Yeah, 'cause
quorum,
of the
and it's
board-
the
board
Brown
thing.
Act
Yeah,
issue,
okay.
so. I don't know that I need specific direction at this one, maybe just to start thinking about that. I put it on here only because I knew we were having the meeting
Yeah.
anyway, and I figured it was a good place to start having the conversation. But,
Well, either way you do it, it goes through one of the committees before, normally speaking, it goes through one of the committees before it goes to the board.
right. Yeah, it always goes through a committee before it goes to the
Not
board.
always.
Like when, not everything that gets thrown to the board went through committee, but if it goes through the committee, it goes to the board. So, I know what you're talking about.
I knew you do it.
And I don't, so I don't care.
It had to do with one of the recommendations for how to address our PERS liability.
Oh,
There
We
was a,
had spent 6 meetings on it, and Mike looked at it, I looked at it, I don't remember you talking about that one.
now let's be
Mike said,
clear,
I don't remember talking about it either.
let's be clear, there was only one of those 6 meetings talked about PERS. So it's not like we talked about it 6 times.
I know, but 6 meetings were kept getting brought up during that whole,
What was the last one?
yeah.
Anyway,
I.
at least one of the committee members was upset
Yeah.
that they didn't know all
Ah,
the
yeah,
options I was
right,
gonna
that-
present to the
Good,
board. So,
that, keep them on their toes.
keep them on their toes.
That's right. Yeah.
It could be either one.
Yeah, I
Can
don't
do
have
either
a
one, and then and when we get it to the board,
Yeah, it's gonna go to the
the
board
other
anyway.
committee members from the other committee can figure out what participation they wanna
Yeah,
do.
my sense is what I would do on these things, if the item was heavily geared towards a particular thing, like finance, I would
Yeah.
probably start at the finance committee, And then if that went to maybe the board may direct it to the policy committee to actually develop the policy.
Yes.
Yeah.
The finance committee may say, yeah, we need a reserve policy and it should generally say these things.
Right.
And then the policy committee can beat it up and work with staff to get the language before it comes forward. And
Perfect.
some of these things take
That's
months
perfect.
usually. to
Perfect.
go through, so.
Okay.
If you're okay with that, then
Yep.
I'm probably not gonna take this to the full board. It's probably just, I just wanted to get your guys'
Yeah.
sense of what you thought the policy committee's role was. And I'm loose with that term too, cause it is the public awareness, policy and personnel. And usually I use this for more policy items,
Right.
but if there's
But
any.
there is crossover, so, yeah.
Yeah, in the past, we have talked about public awareness, like we talked about, so just this past Saturday, we had the open house. That was something that came out, and you were on the policy committee, you and Betty at the time,
Mhm.
and said, hey, let's try this scaled down version of the Water Academy. We didn't do the afternoon tour, we just did the kind of office related stuff, the presentations, the,
Damn, I missed
field
that.
review.
Were you
I
there?
I missed it too.
we had no directors that showed up.
That's embarrassing.
Yeah,
It was on Saturday.
yeah,
That's
The only reason they got 75 people, how many people showed up?
40 showed up.
40 showed up, but it was on a Saturday.
Oh.
Saturday, people didn't show up and do those things. During the week,
Yeah.
No,
it was the week.
I'm down. I would have been there if I'd had my brain working.
Yeah.
Me too.
We get better turnout during the week, actually.
Really?
Some people said, we asked they filled out a questionnaire, and at the bottom it said, any suggestions, and somebody said, don't do it on a Saturday. That was their recommendation. We intentionally did it on a Saturday thinking we may open
More
up
people
a whole
open, yeah.
demographic.
Exactly.
There may be a workaday person that wants to go to these things
Yeah.
but can't get off work, so we opened it up.
Well,
We're
they tried it on a Saturday once before with the bus tour a few years ago, and it wasn't well received on a Saturday.
Yeah.
What we found, and we haven't gone through all the questionnaires and made a determination, but what we found is it didn't open us up to a whole brand new demographic. It
No.
was the same,
Senior types.
yeah, it was the kind of Lake San Marcos heavy
Yeah.
type of
Mhm,
representation. It was well received, and it didn't feel like anybody left wanting, saying, oh, we should have had a tour.
Yeah.
They knew what it was going into it.
Well, now we do the tour once a year.
Once a year, we do it in the fall, usually
Yeah.
October.
Perhaps what we should do is maybe do one of these half-day things during the week,
Yeah,
just to see what happens.
yeah, and we're not against it, cause this thing didn't cost much.
Yeah.
When we do the bus tour, the bus is expensive.
Yes.
We have to send the crews out to these sites and really clean them up.
Yeah.
To be ready for the
Sure.
public acceptance. So that afternoon portion of the public, of the Water Academy is the expensive part. This part was just staff time, a few overtime hours, and we bought them lunch.
Yeah.
And there's a
Mhm.
continental
The only
breakfast.
problem is the bus trip, everybody realizes where the water, and they suddenly realize a lot of things they never realized before. Like all the pipes underground, where it comes from. They don't get to see that here in this building.
Yeah.
I think, we do, in my opinion, very little as far as public awareness anyhow. Besides doing the 2 tours and the 3rd graders and the,
Street fair.
street fairs, that's it.
But we do a lot of small
really
group
much.
stuff, taking the show on the road, but yeah, we don't do a lot of events, so to speak.
No, so I mean, that's one event that's a pretty exciting event that people that go on.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, what I'm suggesting is we just add that session
Yeah.
in addition to the academy.
Yeah, there was never an intent to replace
No.
the Water Academy, that's gonna continue.
Yeah.
We were using this really to gauge the interest, and is there enough demand to do maybe a second one, or
Mhm.
scale down like we did this one?
Mm-hmm.
And we're kind of on the fence, we're gonna have a meeting later this week to determine was it a success, a failure, or just a,
Yeah.
Or do a scale down one during the week. Is that what you're thinking?
yeah, we could try a different
Yeah.
day, we talked about things
But
like.
as long as we still have the academies, I think that's important. I know a lot of
Absolutely.
people, I will definitely have talked to, I think we all have talked to so many people in our district, hey, you gotta go to that.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
To get them to
Yeah,
show up.
that's what we wanna do for sure, and, one of the things we talked about is maybe having a quarterly, maybe open house, for lack of a better term, at Meadowlark. So
Uh-huh.
we'll open it up on a weeknight or maybe a
Yeah.
weekend, whatever, and people are welcome to come in, we could do the tours of just the Meadowlark.
Yeah, they don't want lunch in Meadowlark.
No, no one wants to eat there, yeah.
That'll save us money.
We'll give them a coupon to the local restaurant, they could go eat somewhere else.
I was amazed at, that little tour we did at Ewa, just the other day to show the pipe.
Oh,
and
yeah,
stuff like that.
yeah.
We came back in, both Scott said, and then Mike said afterwards, make sure you wash your hands before you leave. Make
Yep.
sure you wash your hands before you leave. Make sure you, it's like,
Yeah,
Yeah.
give me gloves when I get there, you know,
Get your rubber gloves.
Those guys
Yeah.
wash their hands a lot there.
yeah.
Okay, so I think I got a clear direction on the four
All right.
items, so we could probably move on to other business if there's.
Nothing,
Other business, any other things we want to bring up in the future?
nothing
or
that's,
policy?
I've caused enough trouble.
You have caused
Yeah,
enough trouble.
Yeah,
yeah,
two of these are yours for sure.
uh-huh,
One's mine, one's, the general manager's.
sure. Well,
Cool.
Alright.
Well, I think that's great, so we're gonna bring up to the board all the stuff.
Yep,
right?
yep, yeah, the items that are appropriate will go to the board.
Okay.
okay,
The travel
Okay.
expense payments. Thank you very much.
Great.
That will adjourn the meeting. Thank you
Thank
very
you, Ed.
much.